Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Thank you for staying with us. Nigeria has for over a decade been trying to put down an insurgency across swaths of her northeastern flanks. That insurgency in turn has created an atmosphere of extreme insecurity in various parts of the country, particularly the north and in certain parts of the south, notably the southeast. Hundreds of lives and property worth billions of dollars have been lost to the mayhem. Criminal elements have done so much to capitalize on the situation. As expected, different stakeholders have been trying to come up with interventions that could lead to the restoration of normalcy. Well, we are now being joined for a conversation around this by Honorable Simon Karu, who served as the Deputy Chairman, Human Rights Committee during the 9th National Assembly. Currently, he is the Director of Programs Peace in the Southeast Project, an initiative that seeks to create channels for engagement and development in the Southeast. We also intend to ask him what the government of the day needs to do to get a stronger handle of checking insecurity across Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you on the morning show.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me, sir.
All right, then, so let's go straight into it. First off, we're seeing the Senate President highlighting the importance of a united front in addressing insecurity. But there's also been a mention of external political manipulation contributing to security, which raises legitimate concerns. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. And as someone actively involved in peace and reconciliation efforts in the Southeast, how can the legislature play a role in addressing regional insecurities, fostering a collaborative approach with the executive to ensure lasting peace, as well as investigate and address allegations of external interference to safeguard national security?
Well, thank you very much for the questions. And I think first we must understand that legislators are the first contact of the people at the grassroots. And the legislature have a very strategic role in identifying strategic motions and laws to support build peace systems within the local communities. However, we will not undermine the fact that peace is fundamentally the responsibility of every government, and every governor within every region in the state is the first point of contact in terms of the administration to provide peace and security within their jurisdiction and states as it is. Talking about international influences, until we find, until there's a loophole within a particular system, no external influences will be able to prevail. So I think what is actually most strategic for Nigeria to look at, particularly in the words of the Senate President, the leadership of Nigeria needs to step up in combating the agitations that usually comes as a remote reason for any form of violence or conflict to get to have a forbearing within every region in the country.
All right, Honorable Karu, I would like you to speak specifically to the reason for the formation of this peace in the Southeast Initiative project. What brought it about? What are you really trying to address? And whose assignment is this? I know that Mary Koku is involved. Together with her, you've granted a couple of interviews. But is this totally independent of the governors of the 5 states of the Southeast, or you are trying to make an intervention in collaboration with them? And you may want to add in what specific role is the Deputy Speaker, Ben Kalu, involved in this peace initiative, given the fact that you play an active role in his inner circle?
Well, in the first place, PISP cannot be independent of the Southeast governors. They are the frontliners of peace in the entire region. So PISP is working in complete partnership with the Southeast governors, and it is actually an initiative of all the legislators of the 10th National Assembly under the leadership of Right Honorable Benjamin Karu, who feels that the legislator that is part of the government should also play a role in strengthening local activities of other non-state actors that are working within the Southeast region to strengthen their activities towards a non-kinetic approach to combating insecurity within the Southeast. So PISP is looking at a socio-political approach that takes away the bullets on the streets of the Southeast and bring about dialogues and conversations that will strengthen the governance structure from the government down to the non-state actors that are within the Southeast. We believe that there are quite a number of activities that non-state actors could also participate in supporting government efforts that have been put in place to strengthen the rebirth of what used to be the peaceful region of the Southeast and bring about the economic strength of the Southeast, the tourist endowment within the Southeast, and also support and promote educational systems that will enhance the exposure of understanding some of these root causes, which is actually bare, but then given the commitment that will support these activities to strengthen peace within that region.
Thank you, sir. Would you like to speak more about these root causes to the insecurity that we're seeing in the region? As you said, the region is often known for being a peaceful region, but now we are seeing a lot of insecurity and violence in the region. So can you speak to us more about what you believe the root causes are, and also what you think that the non-state actors can do to improve the security situation in the Southeast?
Well, there are quite a number of scholarly articles that talks about the issues and the basis for agitations in the Southeast that ranges from marginalization in terms of representation in government, appointments in government, and also infrastructural development, and neglect in terms of health and educational support that goes to the region. These are all various agitations that are coming from the established groups, the formal and non-formal groups within the Southeast. But what I think the approach is that could silence that is to provide those. When people cry, when they cry for lack of light, or when people cry out that they are in darkness, what needs to be done is to provide light. And those agitations will simmer down to that effect. And I think the Southeast is strategically positioned to do that. In time past, quite a lot has been done in terms of militarized approaches to come and fight insecurity. But the mind is a very large window which actually gets to determine the activities of people within the region. The presence of security on the streets all the time, or security personnel all the time, creates fear. And people begin to be defensive towards that. But a non-kinetic approach provides a platform where dialogue takes place. And then when there are conversations, and then we begin to change the narrative and support the non-state actors that are playing roles in building and strengthening the civic space within the Southeast, will change the narrative and also provide a strategic direction in terms of the governance within the Southeast.
All right. You know, when we speak about root causes of the problems in the Southeast, it's a lot. We know that the region has been in turmoil, and you know, in almost every state of the Southeast is particularly in anarchy. The sit-at-home, which was initiated by IPOB to protest the detention of their leader, Nnamdi Kanu, which has now been hijacked by hoodlums, is one of the reasons why the Southeast is in turmoil. You've talked about the military creating fear. We know that a lot of stakeholders have talked about dialogue and the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Is that part of your agenda?
Yeah, as part of the pillars of PISP, we have reconciliation and rehabilitation. of which the leadership of the 10th Assembly is working closely with the presidency to see that Nnamdi Kanu is being released as part of those things that will simmer down the agitations within the Southeast. And part of the research we have been receiving from quite a number of organizations that have been undertaking security research within the region is that the rate at which people demand for the release of Nnamdi Kanu is rising on a monthly basis, because we receive reports on a monthly basis on the agitations and demands that are actually coming up from the Southeast. And the release of Nnamdi Kanu is on the rise on a consistent basis.
Okay, so we are seeing this, according to the International Center for Investigative Reporting, Southeast regions are seeing deaths of about 1,700 people between January 2021 and just June of 2023 this year. Now, on the backdrop of this, we're also seeing the emphasis of the inclusiveness in the budget review process, with the 3.25 trillion allocated to the defense and security sector. Now, in your role as someone facilitating peace in the Southeast, how would you engage with the various stakeholders, the local communities, traditional leaders, and more importantly, the political figures, in the best way to make sure that this sizable part of the budget is used to tackle insecurity starting in the Southeast region?
Well, I think the first step taken by the legislators of the Southeast of the 10th Assembly is the first... Go
ahead, Mr. Honorable Simon. Go ahead.
Okay, I thought you were still speaking. All right. Yeah, I think the step taken by the Southeast legislators of the 10th Assembly under the leadership of Right Honorable Benjamin Karu is the right step in the right direction. And the activities they have actually outlined as the key pillars of approaching the Peace in the Southeast project is actually commendable. First, they are looking at how to strengthen the governance structure, which is under the first pillar of governance and leadership within that. And based on reports we have, there are quite a number of organizations that are resident within the Southeast that have very strategic role in terms of influencing the activities that takes place within the Southeast. There are those within the Southeast region, there are those in Lagos, and there are those in diaspora. And most of the non-state, the international partners and other organizations working within the Southeast have identified the level of influence that these organizations seem to have within the Southeast region. And with government earmarking a good number of, a good percentage of the budget into ensuring security within Nigeria, part of these is also to partner with these local organizations and also the government within the Southeast to ensure that, that the rehabilitation and reconciliation process begins to take place in the Southeast. First, there must be a level of reconciliation within and amongst those organizations that are resident in the Southeast. And then people within the Southeast must also see the government putting in place a number of those demands that these organizations have been calling for, those particularly the legitimate demands that these organizations have been calling for. And that's where the pillar on the infrastructural development comes to place. People want to see that the government is physically involved in their demands and in their troubles. As we speak right now, the Ministry for Humanitarian Affairs and the International Refugee Commission are currently in the Southeast undertaking needs assessment to ensure that those demands by local organizations and the reports that the government have been receiving is put in place to begin to calm the nerves of people, and the reconciliation process could actually be strengthened to that effect.
All right, thanks for the clarification so far. Two questions from me. First, for this PISP project, will you be needing some finance? And if you will be, where will they come from? And what will you be using them for? Secondly, how does PISP key into what the Chief of Defense Staff said lately to the National Assembly, interestingly, when they said that it will be hard to have peace in the Southeast without addressing the Simon Ekpa question. And of course, he made certain recommendations, you know, to the National Assembly, which would be to possibly work with the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Ministry and the embassies of Finland in Nigeria to make sure that something is done about the Simon Ekpa, question. What are your thoughts on this, and how will PISP key into the general outlook of what General Musa said to the National Assembly regarding having lasting peace in the Southeast?
Yeah, I think to answer your first question in terms of finance and funding, there is no initiative that does not require funding. And what actually attracts funding to any form of initiative is the vision behind it. People must key into the vision, and the vision must be clear enough to solve problems and meet the objectives that it has set for itself. And what is also important is the commitment of the leadership of the PISP and the frontrunners of PISP that will attract the adequate funding that it requires to meet the objectives. And in terms of the recommendations by the Chief of Defense Staff, I think what is important, there is actually nothing worthwhile that has been achieved without inspiration. The inspiration required to silence the voice, the external voices, needs to come from within the country. I understand that security issues are security issues, and he must have a fundamental basis for making the recommendations he made. But first, it has to come from Nigerians and the leadership of the Southeast. And what is interesting is that it is at a time where the governors within the Southeast have taken the step to take up and organize a summit, and there are quite a number of backdoor activities that have taken place. And the legislators are also in agreement with the current initiative to provide those activities. And the pillars that have been established here have been identified as those in the basic activities that needs to take place within the Southeast to calm the nerves of agitators. And I think the Simon Ekpa issue, requires these kind of initiatives to actually strengthen and inspire people at the grassroots for such approaches to get the required space they need.
All right, Honorable Simon Karu, thank you so much for joining us on the morning show today. It's been very enlightening. Thanks indeed, and we wish PISP all the best in trying to raise money and funding and in your intervention in the Southeast of Nigeria. Thank you indeed.